or
Good evening, and welcome to Lord Gugu's stream. Consider becoming a subscriber today to access the exclusive Stephen Sondheim Twitch emote. Tonight's performance of musical theater is good actually will run approximately 90 minutes with one intermission, and the role of guest will be played by Alex KLINER. Please take this time to silence your cell phones and note all emergency exits. And please take out your hard candies and unwrap them now, and then stick them up your asshole. Musical theater is good actually. Musicals, they're actually good. Musical theater is good for everyone. Dayman.
okay. See, I was dancing.
I did it live. I did
You
it
did it. You said,
live.
"Fuck it, we're doing it live," and
You're
there you
not visible
go.
enough, but they can hear you.
Oh,
But I like it. I like that. It's fun.
yeah.
Um,
You like the thrill of I'll let you host your show.
no, I mean it's okay. This is look. It's our first return guest. Welcome everybody. It's musical theater is good actually. This is our season finale. I'm just gonna take like a month off and retool and try to do some stuff, like make some things for the show, and then come back in like a month or so. Um, but this is going to be a special one as well because it's our first return guest with one of our dear friends who just were hearing his music just moments ago. The brilliant, we love our pre-show and break music. So returning to the show, our first ever return guest, writer for Cards Against Humanity and from the Supergroup podcast on Earwolf. Here he is, folks. Look at him, looking so great. He got a new camera, and he
Oh,
is here.
wow. Well,
Hello.
it's this is huge for me, Bobby. I thank you so much always for
Um,
having me on Musical Theater is good actually.
on SNL, that wonderful program we all love, that's flawless.
Mhm.
They do the Five Timers Club, where they give them like a special jacket when they've come back to host for their fifth time. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know when our special thing will be. Maybe it's just the Second Timers Club. But
Okay, the Two Timers Club.
the two time two. Well, you are a two time and you're a two time and lady.
I am. I'm a big harlot,
You're just a two
big
timer.
big
That's
woman about
I
town.
always think of you as a two timer.
I'm a two-time. They taught me math, and now I am ready to screw over men.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, so normally in our show
Mm.
when because I don't know the process, I'm learning all these things for the show as we do it, and that's part again. That's always part of the fun of the show. But normally when we have a guest, we start with we do the quiz where we get to know him. But we've already done that with Alex, and you can go back
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's episode like 5 or 6 or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and about Rent and Book of Mormon. Great episode. Great episode.
Yeah.
Um, and Alex in his quiz there, where he holds. Oh, we got Han Drew in the chat. Alex holds the distinction as still being the only guest, and we've had 13 episodes now, 13 guests. The only guest who the first question of our musical theater quiz. Here, I'll just pull it up real fast here. What statement do you agree with more? Um, you know, Alex chose option B, and I haven't
Yeah.
forgiven. I haven't forgiven him.
Someone has to. Someone has to speak truth to power here. And you in big musical theater, you want to act like, oh, this is like the logical conclusion of art in any discipline at its purest form. And no one is willing to stand up to you, except me, by the way, to say, no, musical theater is an abomination. It ruins everything that it attempts to put together. It ruins visual art. It ruins acting. It ruins music. It ruins storytelling.
Well,
So I'm here to tell the truth.
as always, I will just give the context that Alex remains to this day still a person who has not given Stephen Sondheim a fair shake. And
I have,
that's an
yeah.
inside joke between us, but it's something that I'm always asking Alex to give him a fair shake
Yes, but
to
more than my
our
sins against
God.
Stephen Sondheim, I
Mhm.
never knew what the phrase "fair shake" meant, and that's it was only in that context that I learned that.
It is a weird phrase now that I think about it.
It
Give it a
is.
fair
Oh,
shake.
why don't you have given this an unfair shake. You have shucking this in an unfair way.
Shucking.
What the fuck does that mean? You have
It's like
you shook it.
you know what's an unfair shake is like one of those like prank buzzers where like you go for the shake and
Yeah,
then that's an unfair shake. You're tricked.
yeah. It's a
You get
hilarious joke
you
that
got two
everyone loves.
timed.
Everyone loves the prank buzzer.
Yeah, exactly. Or you go in for the handshake and then you've got the flower on your lapel, except
The flower.
it's the flower has water, a hose to it, and it sprays you.
See, that's my shit. I lose my full shit every time I see someone go in to smell another gentleman's flower
Oh yeah.
from his lapel, and instead, guess what? There's water in it. You fucking idiot.
You know when you walk into the club or into the party and you see your bro's got just a fly flower
When
on his
all the
lapel,
fellas dressed up
and
with lapel flowers,
you gotta go in for a closer look. At that
man,
point.
that's what I cannot wait for them to stop this like quarantine bullshit because the flu, and so I can get back to the club and smell all these gentlemen's flowers.
6.5 feet is not close enough to observe nor smell my bro's lapel flower. Anyway, this is a show about musicals.
Yeah, and see that's social distancing, man.
But so Alex holding the distinction of being the hater. Everybody else, even like cynical people like Jack Allison or others, or like Jane or whoever, that they still have been like, yeah, no, it can be really great. But Alex is like, no, but it can be evil. And so I bring this up to say. So we watched the Prom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what the Prom is, I'm surprised that you haven't seen just the marketing blitz. I'm just kidding. Netflix released like the trailer a couple weeks ago. I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's like, oh yeah, remember this? This is coming out, and I haven't really seen anybody like any of the stars out promoting it or anything, or anybody like promoted tweets or anything like that. It was in my Netflix, popular on Netflix. It was right there. It did not have the top 10 tag that they do on it, but it was also, I guess you can't do that on the first day because there's not enough like viewers ever. I don't know, but they are releasing this movie under the like cover of night. Well, I will say another thing about the trailer, and it's never a good sign, that you can watch the entire trailer and not even know it's a musical. And it is very much a musical. And
I will say that we have our dear friend Rohan is texting me, and he is watching the stream. He says that there was a good amount of promotion for it on the morning shows.
Okay.
So it was promoted. It just wasn't promoted digitally.
They're trying to keep our kind away from this because it is, and by that I mean like us irony poisoned like people that are just like also
there's no way we would like
also
this.
just kind of fed up with this kind of like corporate backpatting liberalism, kind of like pre-packaged like empty saccharine, just kind of pointless. I don't know, folks. We didn't like it very much. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's bad, and frankly, it is a relief to be here, fully redeemed for having been the only guest of yours brave enough, and pilled enough to select the correct answer, which is musical theater is bad.
This
and it is for this reason.
Certainly helps your case way more than it does mine. I am unshaken in my belief that musical theater is good, actually, but this was a harrowing experience. I won't lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is. Here's my point. This is a musical about musical theater performers
Mm-hmm.
that is even infused with the messages of anti-bigotry,
Mm-hmm.
and yet in and of itself is little more than an extra long commercial for a mall. This
Yeah,
musical is about a mall.
it's a musical about how like actually everything's great. Like there's like no kind of, I mean, the way that people's hearts get changed is, well, we should just go through it. I think that we should try to like just step through this thing step by step. I'll say like basic baseline, and I of course have my usual research pulled up of
Mm-hmm.
the Wikipedia page, and so this is based on a true story. It's a musical. This was on Broadway. It was on 2018, so very very recently, and that's actually a pretty quick turnaround time. Also for from Broadway to having a musical, like a movie made of it. But
Mm-hmm.
it almost feels like this is always where it's been, is for heading towards is Ryan Murphy releasing back patting vanity project like this or whatever. But yeah, it's 2010.
See, I like Ryan Murphy.
I know you, and that's the other thing. You are going to be more on the side of Ryan Murphy here. I have liked some Ryan Murphy things. Certainly the OJ show, People versus OJ Simpson. Excellent, excellent. He's more a producer on that. I think he wrote and maybe directed a couple episodes, but I mean he's also just like the executive producer or whatever. Other than that, I mean
Mm-hmm.
his Normal Heart was very good on HBO. Not not a don't like the horror stories. You guys liked so you and some of our other friends in college were really into Nip Tuck, which was sort of like his first one. And I've never been a Nip Tuck fan either.
I didn't
Um,
realize that.
I have said, and I still feel this way, that Glee has possibly like the best pilot episode of all time, and is never as good as that after that point. Um, in fact, is goes steeply downhill and becomes more
Mm.
about selling iTunes singles and tours or whatever than yeah. And anyway, it's very annoying of a show. Yeah, that's my Ryan Murphy report. Give your Ryan Murphy feelings.
I just think he's fun. Like I really liked Nurse Ratched. I liked Hollywood.
Oh
I
God.
liked
Ooh.
what? Did you even watch Hollywood?
I watched the first episode.
No, I like, and the thing is, I know the reasons why it's bad and cringe, and I think that he better than a lot of people can take something so stupid and like live fully in it and be aware of it and just make like enjoyable things to
I
watch.
just realized
And
Sondheim
I
was still
think,
present for while we were talking about the prom, and I need to get him away from this. I just took him away. It's okay.
sure, fine.
Sorry.
Even given that I have an appetite for Hollywood, for that show, a revisionist history of Hollywood.
It's like the ultimate
I
like
think
backpatting.
that
Like,
the
what if old
prom,
Hollywood was woke? It's like the most ridiculous
right,
show.
right. What if we could girl boss our way out of the studio system?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what they did.
I mean, I
And
love Patti
and
LuPone, and for me to not be able to withstand, like, I would follow her anywhere, and I can't do it.
yeah. And I think even then, even knowing that I have a high threshold for his bullshit, this this unwatchable. The prom just like could not. The story is flawed, and I'm more mad at the musical than I am the movie they decided to make of it.
Yeah, I agree. In fact,
Like you can sit there and say that the problem is that James Corden played a straight man, or I'm sorry, James Corden, a straight man, played a gay character. You can say that that is awful or whatever. You can say that oh the problem is this, that, and the other. No, the problem is the story they decided to tell. That's the problem. And I think
it's not
that
even necessarily
I'm
the
ready. I'm ready for the fight.
it's not even necessarily the story as much as the way that they chose to tell it. Like there were a number of ways they could have done this. Like at first it almost okay because this is and I think now we can just sort of start like getting into it like in terms of what actually happens in the musical. But so the very beginning, like the first number is like the two stars of this Broadway show, James Corden and Meryl Streep, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, and it's clearly supposed to be very tongue-in-cheek of them being very full of themselves, and like they're doing this Eleanor Roosevelt musical that's clearly supposed to be very bad. um,
Mm-hmm.
hey Emmy. So it's Emmy watched with us as well last night. So Emmy, say anything in the chat that you want to contribute. Oh, she's been there the whole time. Uh, and that number is really about it's like, hey, we're out of touch. The number, like that's kind of the joke of the song, and so they're and so I'm kind of like, okay, maybe this I don't think it's going to be good at this point, but I'm like, there is possibly a way that you could do this where you really lean into that and kind of almost like really satirize them more than anything and make it more about sort of these kids at the center of this story. Oh, I guess I didn't actually tell the background of the story. So this is a real story from 2010 of the girl who wanted to go to prom with another girl, and basically the PTA said no. But if they had done that, they basically ended up shutting down the prom and then doing a secret prom and not telling her about it, and it being like a private event that the parents threw separate so that they could basically exclude this girl from prom. And that's a real like news story. And this was used as a basis for this musical. So coming into this story, into this movie, I was like, ugh, this is gonna suck because it's going to be like the it's gonna be uh, you know, elite liberal celebs swoop in to podunk Hickville and solve everybody's intolerance or whatever. And the first number is like, oh no, like we are, and even the way that they set about, oh, we're gonna go. We've heard about this on Twitter. We're gonna go down there and save the day. They are presented as being out of touch for doing that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe that could be funny. Oh, my brother subscribed with Prime. Thank you, brother. Um, and so yeah, but it is well. Let's just get into the music itself. Like, let's go with like the girl's first song, because like that's it takes us forever to just meet ostensibly, and we were talking a little bit before the stream, the main character, the protagonist of the story, this girl
Mm-hmm.
that has been like the reason that they're canceling prom or whatever, and all of her classmates hate her or whatever, and is this kind of outcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right. Everyone at the school hates the lesbians so much
mm-hmm.
because she wanted to bring her girlfriend to the prom.
But they don't know who
So
the
they
girlfriend is.
canceled the right, but they canceled the prom because there was going to be a lesbian there. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
the circular reasoning of it, and I know it's based on a true story, but already it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like that are we expected to believe that the majority of the people at this high school, the majority are that bigoted against LGBTQ people?
Yeah, I mean, like, even in
That's what they're asking you to believe, to a degree that they would cancel the prom.
yeah, like
So it created its own problem. They canceled the problem as a reaction, and now everyone's mad that the prom is canceled.
I mean, like, it makes a lot more sense in 2010, even, which is when the story happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even by the time, so this premiered 2018, so yeah, it is kind of a pretty foreign. I mean, I'm sure it definitely still happens. I mean, it's not like homophobia in high school is over. I mean, like,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, trust me. I am the victim of homophobia every day because I hate gay people and I'm self-loathing. But
and I hate you as well. So
yeah, well, yeah. But you wish. But yeah, okay. So already I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like this seems like a very dated
mm-hmm.
like a way to illustrate the difficulty of queer youth, because it assumes a world where young people are the majority of the people there,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they are all mad at the queer person because of their existence. That rings false to me immediately.
Well, I don't want to jump around too much, but
Okay.
to kind of circle like end sort of my thought almost before, because it's just to like, so they set up like, oh, they're going to be really out of touch to swoop in and try to like cure intolerance through sheer like gumption and fabulousness and let's put on a show energy or whatever, to clearly be, you know, victims of their hubris. But also, that's what ends up happening, at least for like the high school kids that like you're talking about, is the way that those the 4 high school students that represent all the high schoolers,
Mm-hmm.
the 2 couples basically, um,
Mm-hmm.
they learn how to not hate gay people through the course of one song at the mall
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
mall that Andrew
Yeah,
Rannells does for them.
Andrew Reynolds comes to your mall and he does a bootleg version of "We Beseech Thee" from Godspell,
Yes.
because not a fucking measure of music in this entire score is original or interesting or even sounds good to
But
the
it's like
ear.
in the
That
way though that it's like, no, but we're referencing it, and it's like, listen, it's
yeah,
never a good idea to constantly be reminding people of better
better
musicals.
musicals.
There's
Yeah,
like a whole bunch of
exactly.
stuff about Chicago and like
Hmm.
there's it's just like not it's never a good idea. But yeah, and it's like he literally does like, if you know the famous scene from West Wing, I always see this scene. It's like one of those Aaron Sorkin scenes that always gets like clipped, and it's like the president, Martin Sheen, Jed Bartlett, and he is like there's some like right wing woman or something being like about how like homosexuality is against the Bible or whatever, and he's like, oh well then let me tell you, when you eat shellfish, do you get stoned in the town square or
Right.
whatever, like, and he like does like a whole blah blah blah, like all the different stuff in Leviticus, like that kind of classic thing, but it's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it and like, and yeah, and I've seen like a million like viral posts like that or whatever, like to that effect. Like we've all seen them, and it's just basically that set
Hmm.
to yeah, "We Beseech Thee" or whatever, like a musical song,
Yep.
and it's the course, and then it cures their homophobia. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, all the homophobia is gone because Andrew Reynolds pointed out the hypocrisy
Mm-hmm.
of what the Bible says sometimes
Which
at the
is
mall. At the
which is classic showbiz lib think of like, if
Yeah,
you just point out the hypocrisy,
exactly,
it's all you gotta
exactly. We're
do.
going to solve bigotry through brain teasers.
I mean, literally before that scene, I think Andrew Rannells is like leaving wherever they're staying or whatever, and he's like, "I'm gonna go rap with the youths," and not like that. I mean, like the old way or whatever, you know, like, or and so
Hmm.
like it's like literally like that, and he's like sort of making a joke about it, but it's actually what happens. It's kind of absurd.
No, but that's the thing, and also the reason you didn't know it was a joke or not is because the whole thing is like baseline cringe,
Mm-hmm.
like throughout. So you don't know if it's ever going to uh, mirror cringe itself and
Mm-hmm.
then push it over to deliberate cringe, or if it's like underpinning, yes, some sort of sincerity.
Yeah. I guess just like in general, getting back to just like in general the music and like the quality of the songs themselves,
Sure.
because we sort of talked about how it's like pretty referential, and they're like talking about other shows or whatever, and hang on a second, I have a feeling that my mic is not the correct. No, it is. Okay. Do I sound okay? Tell me if I don't sound all right in the chat. Um, uh, the music, and this is an observation I made very early in our chat, and it came up again, is that the entire show, I mean the book too, the script and the songs are like an AI that has been
Hmm.
programmed with every musical ever, especially every musical over the past 20, 30 years. Um, and then you also fed the AI this news story, Then you, oh, Chris gifting a tier 1 sub to my wife. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, my brother. So this is just like an AI wrote a musical because the songs are all like perfunctory. Like you can feel, okay, I feel a song's about to happen. A song is going to come on here. Yep, they're going to sing a song about this now. And then the song happens and it's like, oh, the song is like that. Okay. But it's like, as soon as the song ends, I've forgotten it. It's not like distinctive. Yeah. I don't know, Alex, you have written many a song yourself. What's your take?
Well, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head on that. With you forget it. Like, does anyone? Can you recall a melody? Can you recall a single? And this is, I know I have used this argument to disparage your boy Stephen Sondheim in the past. So I'm not trying to weaponize this argument because I do understand what Stephen Sondheim does is transcendental of like catchiness. But these are songs that are supposed to be catchy pop songs.
They are written for that pop musical school. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, can you recall a single melody? Can you recall a single song?
So the part that I remember is also because this is the one part of music in the song musical that was in the trailer, and it's also the like one lyric that I'm like, oh, I can see why teens love this because it's like, and it's the one that's like, build a prom for everyone, and then it's like, who your unruly heart loves, and it's like, oh my god, if like
unruly heart.
This was
I did have a.
And the other like baseline observation of the entire show that I had was that this show was literally written to be formed by teen like musical theater groups. Oh no, Alex, you're frozen. Did we lose Alex? No, there you are. Like,
yeah, but I'm unfrozen now. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm there's a lot of strain on the household Wi-Fi right now.
Oh no, we're straining. The KLINER Wi-Fi is buckling under the pressure.
Well, no, because literally every every phone in the house is set to this to watch, and then on top of that, there's a few calls happening.
You heard it here, folks. We are inflating the viewer numbers.
I'm inflating my numbers.
Look at how inflated they are. No, don't look.
And now we're down to 11. So it's like,
no, it just went up again. Now we're at 13. It's fine. Don't obsess over that number. I certainly don't.
I just want to keep the chat up. Okay, so I did list my top 4 songs. So this is a colleague of mine named Damon who reached out to say that he very much enjoyed it.
I know that this show does have its defenders, especially the Broadway version.
Yes, and here's since I never, but he knew it from the Broadway show. So like I think that's a totally different thing. I can only react to this. Having seen it as this form, right? This Ryan Murphy Netflix glitzy thing. Whatever the Act 1 finale, I don't even remember how it goes. I just remember liking what would otherwise be the Act 1 finale. Do you know the title of it anywhere?
I only remember the dance. I don't really remember what the song was like. I mean, I remember it was a huge production number. Of course, then building up to our protagonist walking into her prom and there's nobody there. So you've like, and it's a big switcheroo.
Right. Okay. Then the Unruly Heart of Mine, I put as my number 2. I don't even remember what the context of that was. Is that then reprised later? Is that the song between the two girls?
Maybe.
Okay.
Like, see, look, I've already forgotten all these. I mean, I did spend the entire day playing Cyberpunk, which is like the exact opposite experience of watching the prom, and it's like what I needed to cleanse my brain because it just was like, I mean, the movie is over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it was such a slog. Like, we kept checking the time, and I remember we got to like the 45-minute mark, and it was like there is still 90 minutes left of the movie.
Okay, thank you, Tiny Rick 13. Tonight Belongs to You is the Act 1. Thank you so much.
Did you watch this or something, Chris? Or you have it pulled up? Okay.
You probably Googled it. Which is something either you or I could have done.
I mean, I have the Wikipedia up, but I just like looking at your face instead, you know?
Oh, you're sweet.
Let's see here. I
Um,
have the songs.
Meryl in Office was my top three. I think that's
I
when she's like, "Give me another
The
chance" or
Ladies
something.
Improving. That one is fun. And that is also kind of a reference a bit to Evita, I think. There's a song in that called The Ladies Got
Right, because
Potential.
she's
And
singing it. Because
right.
in the world of the Prom, this is a song that she had sang for a different musical that Principal Michael Key, um, liked. And then, okay, my favorite and my fourth was, oh no, I think that was it. That's all four. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. Between Unruly Heart of Mine and Meryl in Office, the We Beseech Thee Send Up in the mall. The Andrew Reynolds is grooming these children at the mall, and he's buying them nice things from the mall,
I
and
also
then tells
think
them, if you masturbate, then you should like gay people because Bible,
right.
which is obviously expert level deprogramming.
Or one of the finds out one of the kids has her parents are divorced or something, and he's like, oh well,
Right.
she has to be executed or whatever. It's like in the
Right.
Bible, like your mom has to be executed or some shit.
Right.
So it's very that. Um, I was gonna say something. This show is just demoralizing. Um, Keegan Michael Key in this
Principal
movie.
Michael Key.
Great singing. Well, he only does like one song, but it's very endearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's good voice on him.
Mm-hmm.
He is the romantic love interest for
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Mm-hmm.
That is the love pairing that we've got here, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not one that I would have ever foreseen.
Does it bother you though?
It's so funny how you just cut out there. You're like,
Creepy?
well, it was like you were like, does it bother you? Uh, uh, uh. It was very funny.
And I leaned back. I could see.
Yeah.
Whew.
She's like 20 years older than him. It's like, I mean, I don't know. It's also just like there's too many characters that they want to give full arcs. Look, Nicole Kidman is in this movie, but you forget for like she's not in it for like 40 minutes. Nicole Kidman, Academy Award winner, movie star, I would say next to Meryl Streep, the biggest star in the movie, is like barely in it. It's strange. She has one musical number, and it's a Fosse homage that is bad, and it's called Zaz. Do you remember Zaz?
Oh God, yes. It's for no one. It's for no. I don't. Did anyone in the chat see it? I mean,
yeah. Is there anybody
please,
else besides
I would love
Emmy and Abby in the chat that have watched this? I don't know. Don't.
because I would like for someone to like defend some of these.
The music, I just think more than anything, the songs, the word I use to describe them is perfunctory. They're like, this is the song, and so a bit of background about the show is that it's the brainchild of Matthew Sklar is the composer, and it's the whole team around him: Matthew Sklar, Chad Bagelin, and Bob Martin. Now their previous projects include The Wedding Singer and Elf the musical. So that's a resume of nothing against those shows necessarily. I don't really know Elf at all. I don't like The Wedding Singer musical. It's like
Right. So, but these are the musical. Is it Elf like the Will Ferrell Elf?
yes. So I'm saying these are
so
like
historically
they're guns
have
for
written
hire.
songs to things that have already exist.
Right. They are like it's oh hey Mary. They are doing a kind of like Mad Libs. I think my cat just snored really loudly or something. It just made a really strange noise.
Well, I didn't detect anything here.
It was very funny. What was I saying? My cat's just snored totally threw me off.
Mm-hmm.
Help me.
We were talking about the composer.
Oh, so yeah, their skill is in like filling in the blanks kind of. It's like a exercise. It's a problem solving kind of thing. But
Yeah.
are these musicals, I think if anything, this more than any of them kind of does in theory have more of like a beating heart inside of it, but like I don't know. It's everything around it. The way that they try to present it is so like hollow and empty and meaningless utterly by the end. It's like there've been no stakes. There've been like it feels like a waste of time by the end.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and let's also like we can get to some of the hot button issues here. Uh, I will go ahead and say that James Corden playing this gay man, to me feels like a very almost like the controversy about that is, I think, too charitable to the prom because what what lived experience, what nuance that only the person who's lived a queer life for out what is missing by having James Corden play that from the prom? What is it about this character that requires anything more than some famous guy from TV um, being a little effeminate and giggling in bed next to Meryl Streep? Like, this is not a complex enough character.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Gugu.
I'm on
Ban
it.
that
I was hearing
troll.
everything you were saying too, but I banned the
Yeah, no, I'm just
spam.
seeing it happen after the fact.
Banned the spam.
But like, what? Yeah, like, fucking if this is the character that you've written that.
Oh no, you're freezing a bit.
Okay. There's nothing missing. There was lived experience that he could.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Well, I think that.
What did you say?
No, you're fine. You kind of froze for a second, but I think that my issue with James Corden and him playing gay is part of it, but it's not as simple as he's straight and can't play gay because he's straight or anything like that. It's he is playing a particular kind of gay man. If he was playing a British gay man, it wouldn't bother me as much. He is playing a gay man who was thrown out of his house / ran away from home when he was 16 or something from Ohio and went to New York, and that's his background that we learn. And like James Corden is not that. I never bought that for a second, and so I didn't buy any aspect of that of his character. I definitely didn't buy him being from Ohio, and I didn't buy like his being gay. So because I'm not buying that,
he did not bring the lived experience of Ohioans to the screen in that very nuanced role that was written to be approached from a place of authenticity and vulnerability.
Well, I just mean to say
they put 4 circus clowns up there. Who cares who's playing them? There's literally a sequence where they drive by and a McDonald's logo is in the shot for like a minute.
I don't
so like that. Spare me the authenticity talk
I don't remember that
this deserves.
No, it's not about authenticity. It's about the reason that I was cringing at his mincing it up a bit, like being like kind of playing up his gayness, is because I felt like it was a crutch. I felt like it was him just like knowing that he wasn't this character. And my thing with James Corden, and I complained about this to you earlier today. I can't fucking believe that I'm talking about James Corden for the second week in a goddamn row on this stream, because we had to talk about him for
She-Books
for Cats. Well, he really wants to be the movie musical guy of today. If there's a movie musical coming, he wants to be in it. He was in Into the Woods. He was in Cats. He was in this. He's so pissed he wasn't in Mamma Mia. If they do Mamma Mia 3, he's in there because he's pissed he didn't get the call for 2. And I am so grateful to them. I forget that. I should memorize that director's name of my favorite movie musical of this millennia.
I think he was good. This is a question from Emily. Was he good in any of them?
No,
Um,
well, so here's the, and then I liked him in Into the Woods, but then Abby brought up a point earlier today where she said, but Into the Woods, the musical, like that movie musical itself, I've complained about on this show before, was devoid of any kind of point of view or take. I mean, you're saying this is a world where all the fairy tales coexist together or whatever, and it's just like bland British Kingdom and just a run of the mill woods that looks like it could be fucking Connecticut or whatever. Like it's like, and so in that musical, he was fine. Like he's serviceable, he's good, and the baker is a role that I really love too. So, but it's because like the the standards were very low. Like the bar was low all around there. Like Johnny Depp in that movie is a horror show, and so like then you go to him and you're like, okay, he's fine. He's gonna be fine here, and so it's like, so is he really that great in it? No, he's fine, but he's not good in Cats. I mean, he's not as bad as Rebel Wilson, but I don't think he's good. And oh boy, is he probably the worst performance in this movie. We have to be honest. I
in the
mean,
Prom.
yeah. I mean, who was worse?
Yeah.
Who was worse? I mean, the lead girl, I mean, bless her heart. Bless her heart. I hope she doesn't watch this. I mean, she sang great.
Yeah.
It was a fairly well, it's kind of an empty, flat affectless
they got Heather
performance.
Graham.
Because I think that the character's a hollow shell. That the character exists.
Yes.
I mean, it's that solely like identity only kind of approach to character, where it's like her character trait is gay, lesbian,
and gay, and from a small town. And again, we're just leveraging every single trope. And
right.
Lesbian, great, fine, whatever. Actually, I'm pro-lesbian. Shocking. Lesbian, small town. Therefore, that's the conflict, right? Because we have such little regard for the people of Indiana, and I know again that this is based on a true story, but when you're telling it now, like, actually, let me pivot here. I think that probably one of the biggest missed opportunities of this whole enterprise was how they set up just a little bit of like, hey, these Broadway people stomping their way into Indiana and causing a big press stink for personal gain was gross. And you kind of get a moment where like, actually maybe these are the villains. Like maybe you can kind of set that up, and there's like a tiny little bit of reckoning, but at the end of the day, it's still like, no, they're actually all great. The moment is literally saved. I tried to goad you into saying this before we went live. The moment is saved. The day is saved. The moment Meryl Streep's character reaches into her wallet and pulls out an American Express black card
yeah.
after she complains that she had to give away her house in the Hamptons to secure an interview for this little lesbian girl that she didn't even want to like it.
That's her brave act of sacrifice that like does it.
That is, she saves the day because she has wealth,
so that they can have
like,
a third prom. A third prom. This is my other big problem with the movie, is just prom culture is so bad. Like prom is like making prom like that's the version of this show and movie that I would like, is a version where they realize it's bullshit, prom doesn't really matter. But they still learn to like come out, like live as themselves, like enjoy like being teenagers, like and romance or whatever. But like that buildup of prom in high school, like that kind of culture is gross. Like it's weird. And so, and it is such a big deal in this show throughout how important prom is. I mean, like it's James Corden's like secret like pain that he holds on to was his prom night when the man he loved came with the girl or whatever, like, and he was 16 or whatever. Like prom is, and so he's like holding on to and it's like, I don't fucking remember my proms. Who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, I wish that there was a version of this show that was like the prom, and it's like about, I don't know, like, because that's the other thing is that then they stage this third like makeup prom
There's
at
a
the
third
end.
prom. There's a third prom. So
Uh,
okay, if you haven't seen the movie, so we should probably explain this because I don't think many people have
we're going all
seen
over
this.
the place. I was going to go chronological, but we're jumping all around, and we're going to take a break in a
Well, we're
few
talking about.
minutes, and then I'll go through the chat and make sure that we didn't leave anything out. Is how we're going to do this. But
No,
I think this stream of consciousness is fine.
I don't think that anybody who's tuned in right now is trying to get a solid understanding of the plot. I think they're just into the dynamic of us
I mean,
doing doo doo
the
on
plot
this
is
unimportant piece of culture.
the plot is this circular thing that just like the same problems
Yeah.
get circled around to again and again and again, and then they're resolved somehow.
We should talk about. Okay, so
Thank
there
you,
is
Harrison.
so we should talk about the third prom. Hey, what's up? We should talk about the. Okay, so what happens is there is going to be a prom, a regular school prom, but because there's going to be a lesbian at the prom, then okay, there's going to be a lesbian at the prom that they have to cancel the prom. Then they let okay, right? So they cancel the prom. Then the big stars come in. Okay, then it's like, oh no, they don't cancel the prom. They uncancel the prom. They let the lesbian go to the prom. But what they didn't tell her is that they rented out the Holiday Inn Express or some shit like that to have
Oh
a
wait,
prom
hang
for
on a
everybody
second.
else.
Sorry, I
It's,
don't mean to cut you off. I just realized is that our friend Jack? Is that Jack?
I think
Jack,
that's him.
I love you, Jack. Thanks for being here. Oh, I just realized who Jack was. Sorry, Jack K. Yeah, and so there's what they do is they're like, well, the stars are here. We'll have a prom for you. No, it's,
So there's like
it's not
again,
Jack
it doesn't
Dorsey.
make any sense.
Yeah, but so they're like, okay, we'll have your prom, but then the parents all get together, sneaky behind their back. Not only do they like set up this private prom, but also and this is what was really fucked up, is all the kids like play into it and text, like, which is weird. They like text our lesbian hero, are you coming to the prom? It's at the gym. It's like, okay, they're like, you got to go to the prom at the gym.
Right. They had all the students, the homophobic parents, all goaded their children into being like, okay, here's how we do this.
They did like Ocean's 11. It's like the homophobic Ocean's 11. Like they did a heist of prom.
Right. Here's what's going to happen. We hate queer people because Indiana, you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, and they make a joke earlier that, oh, do you have a Saks Fifth Avenue? No, we have a Kmart. But then they do several sequences inside of a high-end mall. So we're supposed to be like trading on like, oh, Indiana people are stupid. And that's why they hate the gays. They only have Kmart because, of course, capitalism is culture. Wealth is culture. If you don't have wealth, then you have no culture. Anyway. So they do that prom, and then it's a Simon Mall. It's a good mall.
I learned, my friend Emmy is in the chat right now. She was watching with us on the chat last night, and she informed me that Simon malls are a lower tier mall. I'm not
they're under the Westfield malls.
Westfield I'm familiar with because there's the Westfield Montgomery near me.
Yes.
But I haven't been to. I mean,
okay.
Who's gonna go?
I'm going to finish this thought.
Sorry.
If it kills me. So they go and they say, okay, we're going to have this separate prom. And it's only for the straight people because we don't want you to go to the real prom that they're making the lesbian in. They're letting her go to. So you're going to go to Holiday Inn, okay? You're going to go to Holiday Inn. But the way we're going to pull this off is if throughout the day you text this girl you ostensibly hate because she is a lesbian.
Right.
You need to text her throughout the day. Yeah. Are you going to come to the prom that you've been fighting to get into? The location of it is the school.
Yeah, this girl who's
And then she walks into the prom, and then there's no one there because they're all at the fucking Holiday Inn.
yeah, no, like this,
And that was the big ruse they pulled.
this girl they've been bullying for like the entirety of like we're at that halfway point of the movie, and that they've been like, "Fuck you, they're canceling a prom because of you," and like, then all of a sudden it's the day of. Now they get to have a prom, and she's like, "Wow, everybody's texting me to tell me where the prom is. That's normal."
Everyone's throwing up her phone saying the prom's at school. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's okay. And also,
Drew brings up a good point.
Kerry Washington.
Drew brings up a good point. Oh yeah, Kerry Washington. But I mean, like, it is liberal indoctrination. Like, this is like, if you showed this to a Q person, they would melt down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, right. But that's the thing. It's like, and again, it actually misses the point. Like, or it misses the real things that like queer people like struggle with.
Right. And it misses it all. It doesn't. Yeah. It misses that, and it misses why like allies really care. Like, it never really gives them any real reason that they are actually invested and like why like we should support gay people, besides like classic like hypocrite much bested you with logic.
Right.
Like, it's the case made for like it is so nothing.
And the worst thing that a queer child experiences during high school is that Olivia Pope switches up the prom location. Like, also Kerry Washington, it may be possible that she's not very good at acting.
I think that I don't agree with you on this. I don't agree with you on this. I thought she was fine. I mean, I hated the character. I had a lot of trouble with the end of this movie and that character, but I don't want to get ahead.
Well, I had a lot of problem with the beginning and middle of it too.
Yeah, beginning and middle, and the beginning, middle, and middle end, and every part of it, every minute. It was excruciating. Right. It was an excruciating 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Right. I mean, like, look, you want some of that good old Kerry Washington teeth acting.
She is, but let me tell you,
you're getting Kerry Washington teeth acting.
It's like she is giving you, give me homophobe, but make it girl boss. Like, that's it.
Yes. Right. Well, and can we spoil on here?
Well, here's what I think. I think that we should take a break for a minute. I think you should turn off some devices in your home, possibly. But also just like take a break. I need to get more water and stuff.
Okay,
as
read
well.
me for my internet.
JK, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, no, it's fine. This is great.
We just got that Indiana internet, you know.
I know. Yeah, Alex is in the Indiana of Maryland, which is Frederick. No,
Yep.
Frederick is wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yep.
So we are going to, and I also just need to have some more water, but don't go away. Well, this is very much going to be a 5. So the time is currently 8:57. Everybody, please be back at 9:02. So that this is a 5. Alex, say it. Say it.
Minute warning. Thank you, 5.
Thank you, 5. There you go. All right. So we will be back in a little bit. Yeah.
Great.
We're back. Welcome back. Hello, everybody. I've added James Gordon to me. Just because I like this GIF. So, Alex, before we went to break, you were talking about we had talked about the first 2 proms in this movie, the 2 simultaneous proms that happen, and then there is a third prom at the end. Well, so
there's a third prom.
So basically, then they're like oh, we're gonna put you on like Hollywood, you're gonna make a big star of you and do all this, and the girl's finally like, I don't want to do that, that's not my way. Meryl Streep
That's
has a
not
whole
me. Yeah.
meltdown because she had to like,
She forfeited her Hamptons home in order to get this girl on television. She decides not to go on television because that's not her thing.
which I think is relatable and good content.
Absolutely.
And I think that's universal. Everybody can identify with when you have to give away your Hamptons home so that a teenage lesbian can have a heartfelt interview with your ex-husband on his talk show. That is what happens with Meryl Streep. And instead, what our hero does, who I do not think she has a name. Lord knows I can. No, it's Emma. It's Emma, isn't it? I think it is.
Little known fact, she is the titular Emma from Bon Iver's Forever for Emma Forever Ago.
Is that it?
Emma.
It's
that is it. I just looked that up on the internet.
Emma Forever Ago. That album probably came out when she was 6, maybe.
Well, it depends, because if you're saying that this actually happened in 2010,
does the musical?
It would have actually been.
But does the movie musical take place in 2010? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
So anyway, the way that she wants to sort of make her case for her humanity, essentially, and this is how the movie like presents it, is it's like, so how are you gonna do it? Is she's gonna sit on her bed with her rainbow wall ornament behind her and an acoustic guitar. What? A lesbian with an acoustic guitar? No. And she is going to sing a heartfelt song. That was an okay song. That one was okay. I don't remember how it went, but I remember it being okay.
You know what? It was the Your Eyes. It's the song that was written inside of the thing.
Diegetic.
Right? Like Your Eyes from Rent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We learned
that the main character sings in order to,
We learned about diegetic music in our cabaret episode, which is a lot of fully diegetic. All this music in that, at least in the movie. Anyway, so this goes, as they say, viral, of course, and this is probably, to its detriment, the most online musical that there has been yet. I mean, I guess I haven't seen like the sort of Be More Chills or like the actual shows that are geared at Zoomers now and are like from a teen perspective, like, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. So she sings this song, goes viral. They talk about they talk about Twitter a lot in this show and stuff like that, and just like YouTube and all these type of things. And I don't know, it's weird it's weird for a Broadway musical to be referencing the accomplices to its destruction. Like, nobody's going to movies anymore, let alone to the theater. Like they all like, so it's kind of, I don't know. It's funny how it's that thing of straining to be relevant and current, which of course is always immediately dated too. So even if it's not dated at the moment, it will be. So that's very much happening here. But anyway, she goes viral, and then they're going to do another prom. They're going to throw it, and she's going to put it together, and all of Indiana can come or whatever, and it's like for gay people
all
or
of the
whatever.
Queer kids.
And then also
all the queer kids who Olivia Pope kept from having a prom,
and her
her teeth acting,
and her new friends that Andrew Rannells converted in the mall
at the Simon's Mall.
They are all there, and it's extremely just cheap, like how everything works out for everyone. There's a lot more to it, because James Corden, like, there's too many characters that they want to give such a full arc. Like James Corden, like with his whole history with his family, he reconciles with his
Right.
mom, played by Tracy Ullman.
Because Tracy Ullman makes the trip from Ohio all the way to Indiana to
Very
go
long
visit
trip.
him at someone else's school.
Yeah.
Because he now works at the school. Everyone, all these celebrities from Broadway are now just free to enter and exit the school whenever they want, and petition for queer proms. And
Yeah.
so she makes the trip to the school to be like, "I'm sorry, I love you." And it's like, hooray! Okay, great. He got he got that mom love.
And separate from how, you know, I don't buy James Corden for a second, it's a nice moment for the show to have built in. Like, I'm not necessarily mad at that. What I am mad at is, so you find out during the musical that our Emma's girlfriend is this like cheerleader, like student council, like whatever, like overachiever kind of girl who is also dun 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 the daughter of Olivia Pope herself, Kerry Washington. Pope. That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's why she couldn't say.
That's why she does not want to come out, but they are going to just go to prom together. That was the plan, is that they would just go to prom together as a couple and be there, and that their thinking is that because it'll be all out in public and all their parents will be there, they can't like make too much of a scene or something, and they'll just have to be like,
right. So,
I don't know.
Yeah. So you should also be aware, if you haven't seen the movie, that like this lesbian relationship, which sets off the whole reason why, you know, these people from Broadway came over to terrorize Indiana, it is because they are seeing each other in secret. So our protagonist Emma is an out lesbian to the degree that her parents couldn't go for it, and so now she lives with her grandma.
Her grandma, Mary Kay Place,
girlfriend.
Great character actress. We love Mary Kay Place.
No, we stand. Have her on. Like, so she comes over. I'm sorry. They're not going to. They like kind of kiss under the bleachers, kind of shit. They're not out to their contemporaries or anything like that as a couple, but the plan was that they were going to go to prom together, and they were going to come out, I guess, visually at prom.
They would just
so that's the reason that they couldn't come out as a couple, was because prom was canceled.
Well,
and as anyone here knows, you can only be a couple if you go to a weird dance at the school together. And
her mom takes her to the parents' prom, of course, not to she's like, and they get there and she's like, why are we here? Isn't prom at the gym or whatever? And so like she was also not in on the whole thing. So, and that of course creates a rift in their relationship, and she's not ready to come out. So then they like break up or whatever. And then they get back together, and because finally there's a when does that confrontation happen? Where the daughter comes out to her mom. It's like not at the prom. It's like
isn't it at second prom?
No, she comes to that prom. Remember, Olivia Pope with, I have to say, the best outfit in the movie. She looked fantastic.
Right.
In that,
but
like,
also,
jacket.
Once again, we are to believe that Olivia Pope's daughter, the girlfriend of Emma, got in the car with her mom to go to prom, and then was blindfolded, or was in some way distracted the whole time, that they didn't realize that they weren't going to school.
No,
they were
she
going
knew.
to the Holiday Inn.
That's why when she got there, she's like, what are we doing here? I thought the prom was at school. And then she's like, no, this is the prom or whatever. And it's like, I don't know.
No, but that's my point. So, so in the car, she didn't realize that she was not going to school? Like, I'm sorry, you don't get out of the car and be like, this is not the place that I thought we were going to. There's indicators along the way.
I forget.
Like, the window.
There's some explanation. Olivia Pope is like, Kerry Washington, I should say her actual name. She's like, we had to move it. She says something. She's like, we had to move it or something. I forget. I mean, of course, but none of it makes fucking sense. I mean, like, it's all crazy. But anyway.
Okay, so let's indulge in the logic of this for a second.
No, I don't want to.
Okay. Well, Olivia Pope Olivia Pope is telling all the other moms to tell their children to text the girl Emma that the prom is definitely at school.
Right.
Okay. But in the meantime, Olivia Pope is telling her own daughter, surprise, it's actually not at school. It's going to be moved to the Holiday Inn.
She springs that at her at the last second, and there's a whole scene where
Right.
her friends are like, we knew about this and we had to save you from her and from
Mm-hmm.
that or whatever, and they're like, her friends were like basically conspiring with her mom almost, it seemed like, to try to like basically trick
Mm-hmm.
her. Yes.
Right, because her friends catch Wise,
Yes.
and say we actually do know about
We do
your
know you are
lesbian
a filthy,
relationship,
filthy lesbian. Yes. I
and
mean,
we're
from their
trying to help
perspective.
you
Right.
by telling your lesbian girlfriend that the prom is at school.
Yeah, I know. Well, but the whole thing with that prom is like, no, we did give her a prom then. She did get a prom. That is the school prom. And then this was
Right.
another event that we had or something. It's, it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to talk about that prom anymore. I just like, it's so stupid. Um, because yeah, it is it's just an engineered to be like, oh no, reveal kind of moment, but the logic does fall apart when you start thinking any any more deeply into it.
No, none of it makes sense.
But eventually there's a confrontation, and the daughter just does come out to her mom and is like, yes, and I love Emma, and Emma's like, I love you too, and they say they love each other, and then Olivia Pope's like very upset, but then she's like, we will talk about this at home, and then they go to, I guess you're right, maybe it's like outside of the prom or something. It's like, yeah, it's like right before the prom, maybe that's when it is. And because Olivia Pope arrives to try to shut it down, she's like, you can't do this, and then Keegan Michael Key's like, no, it's completely legal. It's a private event. It's not school. It's a school. They just rented out the gym or whatever, and they're allowed to do and have whoever, blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, the PTA, and she's like flipping out. And so finally, she's like, I'm gay and blah blah blah. And then she like says, we'll talk about this at home, and leaves. And then they have the prom, and they're all at the prom, and then Olivia Pope walks in looking fantastic. I mean, I have to reiterate,
Fucking exceptional. Yeah.
just this stunning coat, just this unbelievable like sequins and like block, like bright colors, and it just looked really cool. And she's like, I love you, and that's the most important thing, and it's fine, and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, so we just redeem the homophobe like that, and it's happy. They should, like, there's no honesty in this show at all, and I'm not saying that she needs to have a tragic ending or whatever, but like, it's too pat, it's too like, for like, if you, insofar as if you want to treat these issues seriously, like if you want, you can have fun with it or whatever, but like, it's when you apply that musical theater logic to these very real, very traumatic experiences for people that that's when it gets really like gross. Like, I'm thinking back to my conversation with Ian a few weeks ago about Urinetown, and about how sort of the joke of Urinetown and why it works is that it's like, here's what would actually happen if you applied musical logic to like a real horrible world event. Like, these people, like, and they all get fucked over, and it's very funny. Like, that's like sort of the joke. But this is like earnest while also trying to say it's winking at itself, and and it fails on both fronts really bad. I'm sorry, I was just talking for a while, but I think that's about as much as I have to say for now before we start going through the chat logs to see if there's anything else we missed.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly right. I think all of that is what happened. I don't get it. I don't know who it's for. I mean, like, the most charitable reading, right, is that like this would appeal to like children, like maybe like little queer children who need like a message of support. But like everything that it sets up is so how problems are introduced and then how solutions are introduced, like, very much sit against my politics. I also like don't think that like I don't I don't think it's a realistic. And again, I know it's based on true events, but I would love to know the story of the true events
Oh, I mean, it's
because
obviously like, well, here's the other issue, I think, is that it's two shows fighting against each other because they really don't make sense. The
Mhm.
Broadway stars coming in, it's like it falls apart. It doesn't make any sense. If they had just made a musical that was just about this controversy with like the kids and even her going viral or whatever, but if you stripped like you could probably do like a really good like focus teen musical on that, or go the other route with the Broadway stars coming in, make it more a satire on, and make it a little nastier towards them. I think like actually like, and maybe like a little darker like in terms of the comedy and satirical, like if you really wanted to go that route, but it like wants to go both ways and then like ends up being nothing.
Right. Because really, what it is again these four interlope. I we haven't mentioned this that often, but like the whole thing starts out because yeah, these people in Broadway hear of this awful like homophobic prom scenario,
After they've
but
just
like
gotten bad
it is
reviews.
right. But they explicitly say this will be good for our careers to
Right.
go in and do like make a stink about this,
Right.
and that kind of
They
yeah, and like at one point they get called out for it while they're in Indiana. But again, they're still seen as the saviors because Meryl Streep's character pays for the new prom with her American Express black card.
ultimately that
Like,
is the most sacrifice that gets happened for our happy ending,
right,
is she
right.
pays a lot of money to make a very nice prom, and the prom does look very nice, and we are led to believe that Emma does it all herself, which is hilarious because it is
Yeah, of
like
course.
it's like a production designer like clearly did it.
Right.
um
I guess, and again, like I said, I am cynical and in general, and I love to find the fault with things, especially when they're trying to do good, because I think those things often bring unearned celebration to the people who create them, and I just think it's good to question feel good things because that's kind of how like ISIS got its message out, right? But like
well, no, you're right, like
uh, no,
it
yeah, liberalism is ISIS, yeah, but
this is a show about musical
getting
theater.
flag. Yeah,
Liberalism is
uh,
ISIS.
liberalism is ISIS. But right, so like, but the idea that like here are these four people from New York, they're coming in, they're going to hijack the awful thing that's happening to this queer teen, and when they're about it, they're going to sing a song and win over the principal, Keegan Michael Key. And he's like, I get you. I understand you have good in your heart. But the real test is going to be, can you cough up enough money for a party? And then it's like, no, now you are, because you paid the money to make the new party, you are legitimately the hero now. But like this idea that we're going to come into middle America and raise a stink to elevate our own profiles is like to me like so deeply insidious and gross, and yet like truly something that happens in this country, like, and all over the world, like to go into where people are being exploited and like fix it, and then with money, and then you're the hero, and that they just let that happen.
well, it's
They just let it happen.
it's Queer Eye for the prom guy.
I guess, yeah. But I'm trying to think, like, and maybe I'm too divorced from like the youth today. But I don't know if I was like when I was in my like lowest of low of feeling isolated as a queer like kid that couldn't come out until I was 20. I don't know if looking at this would make me feel any better,
Yeah.
because what it's telling me is that like only with attention and going viral, and with like James Corden and Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman, who's in it for whatever reason, and
Yeah,
Andrew
I'm
Reynolds,
sorry.
who's in
I
it
do
for
just need to
whatever
remind
reason,
everybody, Nicole
will my
Kidman is
story
in
be
this movie.
validated?
Nicole Kidman, I swear to God, she's in the movie. She's in it. What is her role? What is her background? What is her arc?
Nothing.
She's in it. She has she has a
She just is in it,
Fosse number.
right? Which means that this must have paid so well. This project must have paid so well.
I don't know. Ryan Murphy has some voodoo. He just can attract whoever he wants to do. Like
Maybe he like does like what the Nexium cult does, and he has like blackmail, or Scientology, and he just has
He
like
has Collateral.
damning pictures of like
The James
every
Corden
Hollywood.
Collateral
Right.
file is insane. Uh, yeah. I mean, it's to your entire point of view on musicals in general, about how they can be used for evil. I think that this is because musicals are. I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. Musicals are hard to make. There aren't that many really great ones because it's so much that you're juggling. You want the music to, not just the songs themselves to be good, you want them to live in a consistent kind of world and all like fit in their own kind of score, then flow seamlessly in and out of this story that lifts with the emotions, and to have that central story itself be interesting enough to support all that kind of music, blah 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 blah. There's a lot that needs to go into them to make them good. And like, this guy is like, it's very workmanlike in that, again, with this guy being sort of the composing and the writers team being sort of work for hire kind of guys that adapt movies into musicals, is like, that's their approach to musical writing. Is it's like, okay, this is the hubris number where they're singing about like basically how they're so great when clearly they're not, and then this is her I Want song, this is their like coming together song, blah blah blah, and especially since so many of those songs themselves are references to other direct references to other shows and other things, it's just like bland. It's just like not even, I don't even want to say mayonnaise. Mayonnaise has way more flavor. This is just kind of like slop. Yeah. It's slop.
Yeah,
it's musical slop.
Right. Like, there's two problems. This is an indictment of musicals on two levels. Is that, as like, obviously it leverages musical theater as a storytelling. Well, within the story, musical theater people come in and do horrible liberalism to this girl, like weaponized, like bad liberalism to this girl, and then
never really learn their actual lesson. They get like chastised a bit, but they don't actually grow. They don't actually learn what was bad about what they did and like how to be better. It doesn't really happen.
And there wasn't even like a ham-fisted, cheesy way of like, you know what, I learned something from Indiana too.
Yeah.
You know, like, there was not even any of that. It was like, you're all horrible pig people.
Well, Meryl, we accept, has taken Indiana into her heart because she has taken Indiana into her bed in the form of Keegan-Michael Key. He is getting it in and hitting those back walls. I need everybody right now.
Yeah.
Everybody right now, picture it. From, like, you better be picturing Keegan-Michael Key just like railing Meryl Streep right now. This is a show about musicals, but I need you to be thinking about Keegan-Michael Key fucking Meryl Streep, because it happens in the world of this musical. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key.
Keegan-Michael Key.
And then so the story which leverages musical theater as an existing thing is Boo Boo. It's bad. And then it presents itself, it is wrapped up in the trappings of musical theater, which in doing it, like, harkens to and calls upon other musicals while doing it. And as a musical, it is not, to me, in my opinion, it doesn't sound very good. It's not a memorable set of music. So yeah, just really bad job, everyone.
All right, I'm just going to go through the chat now with our observations. So one thing that I had here was that Meryl sounds amazing, her vocals, but I have to say, they were sweetening them. I mean, I've heard Meryl sing a good deal, and she's a fine singer, but she's not this good. And I will say the sweetening was subtle. It was not like auto-tune mess, but come on, there was. I mean, Alex, you know your way around, the studio.
Right. Tuning and auto tuning are two different processes. So, yeah, I think her voice was treated. Definitely, I think they were all treated. But the thing is, like, actual musical theater performers can like sound live even on the cast CD.
Mm-hmm.
So like the microphones are further away from them, they're singing more in their voice. When Meryl sings, you're getting like the volume and the amplitude of like a very pop performance where like she's like more singing more softly and closer to the microphone. You know, like it's little shit like that because I don't think she's used to singing on stage.
Oh,
But like you can tell the people who were.
okay, so this was another thing I wanted to do. Actually, this will be fun. I want to do the report card for each celebrity in this movie, each big actor, and not give them a letter grade. I want to judge them based on how will this affect their career? I mean, the truth is, it probably won't have much effect for most of them at all because Netflix is releasing this like very quietly. Although I guess they are promoting it on some morning shows or whatever to get those
On the morning shows.
those libs
It's
that
good
watch
for dads
those.
and grads.
Right? Yeah.
It's not
you know,
for us.
a few of those, but anyway, how is this going? Is this basically is this down slope for the career to be doing this steady like? Even like they're not going anywhere, or you know, actually they were pretty good. I think they acquitted themselves pretty well. And so let's start with Meryl. What do you think?
Oh, Meryl's untouchable.
That's what I think too. She's
Nothing,
Teflon.
nothing bad will
And
happen
she's
to
very
Meryl.
good in this, honestly. I mean, like for doing what she's asked to do, the material's crap. I think that
Sure.
I don't have any issue with
No, I think
what
my
she's
issue with
doing.
Meryl's performance is that she made the decision to perform in it. Like to me, that more than anything she did behind, like on camera, like the fact that she said yes to this project, to me is a negative mark against her. Editing, she didn't need this paycheck.
Well,
No one needed this paycheck.
I think she does. She works. She is always working. And you know what it reminds me of is that Steven Soderbergh movie she did last year that I watched when I came to visit you in California. The Laundromat, which was not very good, but it also had like Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman, and it's like this weird movie about money laundering, and it's like not very good. And in fact, she does some really inadvisable brown face in it as well. Anyway,
I've not heard of this.
And she's pretty good in the not brown face stuff she does in the movie, but it's a very forgettable movie that was like Steven Soderbergh, a big director, big stars in the movie, but like Netflix does that because Netflix just gives money to everything, and then some of it will hit, and then some of it they'll just release, and you'll be like, oh wow, this star's in it, and some people will watch it, like enough people that it'll, I guess, be worth it for them. I don't know, but yeah, but I felt like Netflix thought that there was a chance that maybe this would be good and that it could possibly even be like awards. I mean, like the award that the reason that musicals always come out around awards time is because then they can get the Golden Globe nomination for musical or comedy because it's its own category, so it's easier and they don't have to be as good, and that'll help them a lot. I actually think that Greatest Showman was helped a lot by their Golden Globe nominations. So, because it wasn't doing that great in theaters, and then that became a huge hit. But although we all know that that's a very bad movie musical, I think it's worse than The Prom. I mean, in terms of morals, in terms of its moral center or lack thereof, I think I think The Greatest Showman is more evil than The Prom.
Well, I appreciate that you pronounce it showman instead of showman, giving every syllable its due. But also something I found out that The Greatest Showman is like giant internationally.
Oh no, it's huge in America.
Massive.
It's huge.
What?
It's huge. Kids love it. I hear all the time, but like my boss is like, yeah, my kids like they're always watching, and I hear it from like people all the time. Like my kids are just always watching or listening to the soundtrack to Greatest Showman. They love it. Showman. I can only say that now. It's the only way I'll say it.
It's very strange. Yeah.
I already regret how much I've talked about Greatest Showman. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, also, shit. Oh, I was gonna say something. Anyway, regardless. Oh no, forgot it.
So it's the grades for was what we were talking about. I'll just go on to the next if you remember it.
Keep going.
So basically in order of like star of the movie. So I have to say, James Corden, I mean, if anybody's going to take a hit from this thing, it's him. I mean, he is, and it's not just the offensive, it's more that he's
Oh,
bad. He's
no,
bad.
I got it. Hold on.
Okay.
I remember what I was going to say. It's a function of Netflix throws a bunch, but I bet what's his name? Ryan Murphy has an overall deal
Oh,
with
he definitely
Netflix,
does. He definitely
and
does.
was
Yeah.
like, yeah, and it was just like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. I think that's how it got made. Not like Netflix was like, I really want to do that musical from back in the day
Well, it's not
or
even back
whatever.
in the day. It's because it. I mean, like,
Well, right.
well, that's what it is. Is that Ryan Murphy saw the musical on Broadway and was like, "Oh, I have this overall deal with Netflix. Yes, I will do this. Can I get
Right.
Meryl? Can I get Nicole? Can I get
And yeah.
So
And
anyway,
because he has, he has blackmail on them, he was able to.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So James Corden here, he is right.
James
He's
Corden.
right above me. I think he was just bad. He was just so bad. He was just like
Yeah.
noticeably, and it's a big part. Like it's carrying a lot of the movie, and a lot of it is stuff that he can't help because this character it's just it doesn't make sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
and especially in a movie maybe like and maybe that's it because one thing I will say positive for the movie, and I said this after we finished watching it last night, is that contra a lot of modern movie musicals that feel the need to apologize for it being a musical, and so they make the musical numbers in the characters' heads or in some like
Mm-hmm.
alternate reality where Chicago they're like dancing in some like empty studio or something, and it's fine. But like, uh, this is not making any bones about it. They are breaking into song. It's just like they are all doing it, and then they continue on, and that's all happening. And so I commend them for like not apologizing for that. But so it's not the musical stuff that I don't buy. It's just the straight up story and these people coming down and like the two different types of musicals that are fighting with each other here is really what puts me off, and I think that might come down on James Corden more slash Meryl Streep is just a more talented actor and more fun and dynamic performer so that she's better able to sell it. But
Yeah.
yeah, he comes out the worst of this thing. There's no doubt.
I almost think like I'm almost sympathetic to him because it's like
I am
who
to a degree
decided to
as well.
cast him? Who decided like yeah, you have
He
like I mean Ryan
probably
Murphy
I
is
bet you money he fought for
is gay.
I bet you money he fought for this. Like this because he wants to
You
be the
thought he
movie musical
petitioned
guy.
for this role?
I think so. He wants
Okay.
to be the
That's
movie
fair.
musical
If that's
guy.
the case, yeah, I just don't know who would like who especially when we have all these when this is a movie that is like all
Here's
about like an
yeah.
identity issue and identity issues are so like wrapped up in Hollywood with like representation issues and there's a lot of work and a lot of discourse done about correcting this. Who let a straight man play a gay man in a show about queer teens at prom? Like this is like the intersection of identity and representation discourse in the media, and then they're going to
And it's
let the
what the
British
musical's
guy
about.
play a Midwesterner.
It's like what the
Right,
musical's about.
right,
So it's just drawing more attention to that. And right, like you're right that it's not like I'm offended. It's just like it seems
right,
against the nature of what the show is doing to have him
right.
doing this. Um,
Also, like maybe it's kind of a parachute. This is like a conspiracy theory that they got like partway through, and they're like, yeah, this probably is bad, or might not be beloved, and I might be wrong. It might be great, according to the public or some shit like that. But they're like, you know what? We can pin it on. We can pin it on the fact that a straight guy played a gay guy, and that's why this is. We got it wrong about queer youth.
I have seen some of my musical friends online that like the musical that wish that they had just kept the Broadway cast and done it with them and thought that it would have been better.
I've heard
That
that
maybe
before too. Yeah.
I I don't know. I think that there is a degree that perhaps those two kind of warring tones would bother me less in a live performance. I could see that I could see myself more when you have the live energy of those performers that you are maybe a little more able to cut a bit more slack in terms of that sort of shifting tone and the the music just kind of being more references, it's still a little bit more fun. You know, like the Alex, last time you were here, we're talking about Book of Mormon, and I think that you
Mhm.
know, a lot of the music in that is kind of functional. Like, I mean, it's good. Like, there's some really, really good songs in there too, but I think a lot of it is just kind of this is that type of song. It being
Oh yeah.
so in the satire mode and so just doing like a long comedic sketch of like a show length basically, right? That it can sort of get away with that a bit more. But
But that's Urinetown too.
mhm.
Like, so there is like there is a playbook to do reference to like point to it being a musical and the music still being great.
Yeah, and it's just it doesn't make sense, but that doesn't make sense with small town Indiana girl wants to go to prom with her girlfriend. Like that, like
Right.
those conflicts and those worlds, like they're not in the same universe. Like even though like there's the like it's like this Venn diagram, and it's like these huge circles, and like 99% of each circle is, you know, in its own circle, but then the 1% overlap is like gay, and then that's like how these two
Right.
stories
Right.
like come together and they awkwardly
Right.
intersect, and it's like doesn't
Right.
work. Yeah, so let's just go through oh wait, so we have to do the rest of our report card. We'll do
Yeah.
quicker
Well,
for the
the
rest.
next we got the two big ones.
Hmm.
Nicole Kidman. Why was she even in it? She
She
was
was
great. I mean, I enjoyed
she's
her little one
wonderful.
joke at the end.
Hmm.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. It was
And
nice to
she's
see
on such a
Meryl and Nicole.
she's on such an upswing in her career right now. Like she's killing it. Like she's like David E. Kelly's just like churning out prestige miniseries for her to star in, and she just seems to
Some
be
HBO shit for
thriving.
Nicole Kidman.
Right,
Yeah.
she's just
Yeah.
thriving right now. So we
Yeah.
support it, and I think that she comes off great. And then she has probably like my least favorite song in the movie, and I still am like, she's just so
I don't
likable
even
and
remember
great.
her song.
The
What was her
Zaz,
song?
the Zaz,
Oh, the
Zaz,
Zaz.
Zaz. You gotta give
Yeah,
it
I
some,
blocked
give it
Zaz
some
out.
Zazz, give it some Zazz.
Yeah,
There's
I
an
blocked
entire
out
song
Zaz.
about giving it
I
some
won't have
Zazz.
it.
Um,
Right, because they won't say jazz.
and then I think probably the person that acquitted themselves the best and supported their case for their greatness in this horrible abomination of a movie musical is Andrew Rannells. Is just he's so talented, he's so
Absolutely.
wonderful, and he's
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 magnificent in everything he does.
he's very great in this. He's very, very fun. Although I will say the way that they introduce both him and Nicole Kidman is hilarious, because it's like legitimately like they sing this opening number, you know, of them being all hubris or whatever of the two leads of James Corden and Meryl Streep, and then they get the reviews and they're hoisted on their petard and they've got wings of wax and all of that, and they are moping, and then it's like, oh, the bartender at the bar is Andrew Rannells, and he used to do a show he did a show with them before, and also he used to be the star of a 90s sitcom or something. Okay. And so it's like blah 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 blah, here's my deal, and then like literally the next thing that happens is Nicole Kidman walks in the bar and she's like, oh, I had to just finally quit Chicago because they're never gonna let me go on. I've been swinging for 12 years, blah 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 blah, and it's like, so it's like, and here's my deal, and that's like, and then they're also in the movie, and who are they, why are they here, I don't know.
Right. Right. Well, okay. First off, the logic, it never makes sense. So you're telling me that the only guy who's had a TV career in that room
Right. No, do you
is
remember
the one who has to get another job,
do you
right? Because Broadway pays so much better.
and you do
Kiss
you
my whole ass.
Do you remember when they get to the town and they try to check in at the hotel, and there's a very funny scene. It actually is one of the funnier scenes, which is not saying a lot, where they're checking in and they're all like, well, can I stay? What? I need to have a suite. Give me your nicest suite. And they're like, we don't have suites. She's like, no, I need
Right.
the nicest room. Can I at least get your room next to your spa? And it's like, we don't have a spa. And then it's like they're all coming in and having their out of touch Hollywood moments. And
Right.
then Andrew Rannells comes
No,
in.
not Hollywood.
Broadway moments. Andrew Rannells comes in, and the guy behind the desk is like, oh, "It's you! Oh my gosh, I watch you on syndication or whatever." He like basically has been watching reruns of this guy's sitcom for years, and he's like, "Whatever, thanks. Where's my room?" And he's like, doesn't even care, and it's like,
Yeah.
wait, that's like. You should be on Cameo, man. Like, come on. You could be like, you don't have to be doing this.
Well,
You still, like,
but
why
you
are
also
you struggling so?
you will remember though that without Andrew Reynolds, um, because they're like, how will we get once they hear about this shit going down in Indiana? They're like, that's what we'll do. We'll go to Indiana and we'll get a bunch of good vibe buzz for our liberal do-goodery. And then they're like, how will we get to Indiana? How can we possibly travel from New York to Indiana? And Andrew Reynolds says, don't worry, I'm in a non-union tour of Godspell, and you can get on the bus with me. So they're going to take the tour bus to Indiana, not fly, but once they get to the hotel, they're going to ask for the best suite in the house. Like the logic is so, and I know you don't want to like, you hated last time when I was like, can we examine the logic?
No,
But
but
like, it's so lazy.
well, but
It's like,
it only exists to be a comic scene. Like it's because and that shit would play great on Broadway with the tourists. Like in theory, like that is the type of scene that would bring down the house of people just howling laughing about how out of touch they're being. Because like you have to go that broad. And you can go that broad in the movie, but you have to then just like make the conscious decision that this isn't reality. And they sort of do, but they don't go far enough. But it's not the
and you
worst
will recall
movie musical
also
I've
that
seen.
Andrew. Right. Well, and you will also recall that Andrew Reynolds gets bus sick, which I thought was going to come back in some way because they have him throwing up in a trash can on
also,
the bus.
they were singing Day by Day on the bus, which is like, come on. I mean, I know they're in Godspell, but like of all the songs in Godspell you're going to sing on the bus, it's going to be Day by Day. Come on, that's like basic. Come on. If you're in Day...
Right.
Like,
well, and you know they're not going to sing We Beseech Thee because they already wrote a sound alike later on.
Right. But you could do like...
And also, it was kind of a fuck you to the... And I get your point about being broad. I think that that's very important and something I forget. But like...
Oh yeah, you're certainly never broad.
I also... Yeah. I also thought that... Are you calling me fat?
No, I'm saying you're a broad.
What was that?
No, I'm saying...
No, I'm kidding. No, my
you couldn't hit the broad side of a barn.
Is that they say... is that it's like, oh, it's non-union, but then you cut to the bus and they can't sing. And I'm like, this is also not like what a non-union tour sounds like. Like...
Well, anyway. They're making a bit of a joke about, like, that's for the unions on, like, that's why you don't go non-union. Which, I mean, it is that's true.
Right, yes.
But also, then fucking do more... But you
have to make a decision to go non-union.
Right. But it's also then do more union work so more people can join the union. And anyway, the union's all a mess right now with healthcare and everything, and there's no work, and it's all a shit show. Anyway, that we got way off track. Okay, so just the last few here. Keegan-Michael Key. What do we? I mean, again, everybody, make sure you're thinking about him just really laying it in, having just really raw, passionate love making with Meryl Streep.
Right. He's hitting Meryl's back walls, working her middle, just really turning it inside out in there.
But I think he was pretty good and endearing, he was like, oh no, we lost Alex.
Why did you kick me off?
I did it. Make your video go. There, you're back.
Oh, okay. My finger slipped. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My finger slipped.
So Keegan-Michael Key is like the nice teacher. Like he's the one from the beginning who's like helping.
Principal.
Oh, he's the principal? I thought he was just a teacher.
Yes.
He was the principal.
He's the principal of the school.
And it's the principal of the thing. And he is supporting Emma and trying to get a prom for her. And so he's kind of the one that's warring with the PTA. A very broad character in his own right, because it's like that very kind of like heart of gold, which again, it just gives him no inner life and makes him completely boring as well. But
I will say he's the only one that calls out the bullshit of these, like Broadway people coming to make a mockery out of, backwards Indiana.
And he holds it against them for all of 2 seconds until Meryl Streep
all of 2 seconds until Meryl sings the song from the show he liked her in.
Right. He sings a song. She sings a song in his office, and does a great job. And that's it. That's all it takes.
That's it.
Tracy Ullman,
Fine.
I just have to say also, just to correct the record, because there was some fake news happening in the chat while we were watching this. Tracy Ullman, to my knowledge, is not a Scientologist and is not the voice of Lisa Simpson. This is what Emmy, our friend Emmy, kept saying in the chat, saying because Alex said, "Is that Lisa Simpson?" Which also, first of all, you were thinking of Bart Simpson. The voice of Bart Simpson, Nancy Cartwright, is a Scientologist. Tracy Ullman's connection to The Simpsons is that The Simpsons started as a short cartoons that would play on her Fox variety show, The Tracy Ullman Show. And Simpsons was kind of a spin-off from that. So that's its origins. That's Tracy Ullman's Simpsons connection. To my knowledge, not a Scientologist. I mean, maybe she is, but people can check that. She was fine, but I also unrecognizable at first. Except Emmy saw it instantly, so I got to give Emmy credit for that. She had eagle eyes. She knew, because Tracy Ullman loves some prosthetic makeup pieces and a dumpy costume, and it's like her and Amy Sedaris are like constantly having like a ugly off in terms of like adding stuff to them or whatever, and she's deep in she was in deep cover in this one, and Emmy immediately knew, so credit there. And then finally Kerry Washington is just like, she's doing what she does. That's the thing, she's doing it. And I think that's why you were like, is she a bad actor? Because like, it does feel like she's doing Olivia Pope completely. And that's kind of her vibe. And I think it's the right vibe for the character, but it's also interesting how completely almost indistinguishable that energy is, like.
But I also, the only reason I also bring that up is because I heard bad things about her performance in Little Fires Everywhere. Like, I thought she was good in Confirmation, but I guess I haven't seen too much of her oeuvre, but I just know that I enjoy, her unique brand of teeth acting, and I, have no choice but to stan Olivia Pope, but
I too,
because she handles stuff.
I too enjoyed her in Confirmation, a HBO movie about how Joe Biden is an asshole. So,
well,
Greg Kinnear, Joe Biden.
Hey, why don't you give him a shot, okay?
All right. I'm sorry. You're right. It's too soon. We have to win these runoffs.
Too soon. We have to wait for him to win before we can complain. Wait
a minute. So that's all the report card. I'm seeing if there's anything else in these.
What about Ryan Murphy? Yeah. Yes, Jack, it is teeth acting.
Ryan Murphy is a case of, he always has so many projects that it doesn't matter. Like, a few of them are going to hit. Like, even the people who love American Horror Story, like the people that American Horror Story, it's their favorite show. Like, they would say it's their favorite show. There are seasons of it. I've
never met anyone like that.
I have. There are seasons of it that those people, or say it's one of their favorite shows even, there are seasons that they would say are terrible, that they hate. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but then there are seasons that they just love and they rewatch and they're amazing. And it's like, that's sort of I think that's like his approach to storytelling, is he's just like, okay, I'll just make everything and some of it's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, it's a little different, I think, with American Horror Story, because each season is like an anthology, right? So it's not like we're staying with the same characters. We're staying often with the same actors and same, like, similar archetypes, but we're never staying with the same characters.
But it's like you're staying with the same point of view, though. And I mean, like, people that loved the Tales from the Crypt series, and that was also like an anthology with like each episode being different. Which also, I want to also bring this up because and that was part of why I did a It's Always Sunny theme song opening is there was a big announcements this week. One of the big players in musicals, I have to say, so it's relevant. Disney announced their whole slate, and Disney owns It's Always Sunny now, which people don't know. So there's 4 more seasons of It's Always Sunny. I like to think that Charlie's really damaged conception of the waitress is now canonically a Disney princess. Not like the actual character of the waitress. Charlie's like warped, fucked up, like pedestal that he puts, like that is a Disney princess canonically. But also, there was part of those announcements for Ryan Murphy was it's another anthology horror series from Ryan Murphy, and this one is called American Horror Stories, because every episode is going to be a different one. It's not like the season is each a story, but I just think that that's like. And also, look, and then like he has American Crime Story. It's like American Blank Story. It's like he's like, I mean, it's kind of the perfect musical project for him to do, because he is such a fill in the blank creative himself, where he's just like, yeah, I like to do this. Let's put in crime in place of horror there. Yeah, that seems fun. And he's just kind of like throwing stuff around and like putting it together. And it's like, okay, I think that he's like, that seems fun to me. And enough people will kind of be down with it. And sometimes it's great. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Ryan Murphy. Do you have any concluding thoughts on Ryan Murphy?
My issue, well, I think Ryan Murphy is my writing partner. And I talk about this often. For him, it's like Ryan Murphy always starts out great in his series, and then by like episode 4, it's done. It's ruined for Andy, right? Mm-hmm. I think that quite often it ends up being a lot of fun. I think he is a lot of fun, but I think like similar to like what I had to say about Meryl with this project specifically. And I know it's different because Meryl was just casting it, and like this theoretically was like a Ryan Murphy joint. It's just like picking projects. Like why would you add this to your list? Like, but I think you're right. Maybe Ryan casts a wide net. And I really do think I like his sinister shit. Like I like when it's just weird and doesn't have to try to like wrap something up, or like, I don't know, be some sort of like life-saving piece of media for suicidal queer teens. Like, right. Which is like theoretically what this will like be hailed as. And like,
but I won't.
You know,
it was what they wanted it to.
But like, yeah, I think I don't like him cringe like Ernest. I like keep doing your weird fucked up shit. Keep putting Connie Britton in shit. Like keep giving me your like gay, fantastic, trashy, fucking camp like telenovelas, which is what he's great at.
But I will
stop trying to like do this like fucking horseshit.
Well, but also, so to your writing partner's point, I mean, like, and I agree with that, like, about how, like, after just a few episodes, he completely loses the plot. He's just, like, off the reservation or whatever, like, and he is, and I think that what you're sort of talking about, where if you stick with it, or, like, by the end of some of those, like, even when they, I don't know, sort of get off the rails a bit, okay, can everybody hear my cat, in the litter box right now? No, okay. So he shit, what was I talking about? This is the second time that my cat has thrown me off of my thought. Yeah, Ryan Murphy just does sort of whatever he wants, and he's just going, but oh yeah, you can have a lot of fun with it if you let logic out the window, like especially for like those horror stories or whatever. Is it's like, yeah, at a certain point he's just having fun. He's not trying to make it like, and so yeah, and so I think that this musical, if it took itself maybe less seriously and was kind of making fun of proms and Hollywood more, maybe it would have actually been a great project for him if it was more in that kind of tone, that these people would be having more fun with it. But it's because they have to keep that one foot in the earnest like side of things too, that it just never gets off the ground. It just is kind of just, to me, flat the entire time.
Right.
Well, anyway, Alex, this has been a really great discussion. I knew we'd be able to fill 2 hours without the quiz. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. Is there anything we left out? Anybody in the chat, do you have anything that in this movie you wanted to ask about? The 2 girls are fine. I mean, the one is kind of the other girl I do think is really good. The goody 2-shoes one, the one that's the daughter of Olivia Pope. Ariana DeBose.
Olivia Pope's secret lesbian daughter.
Yeah, I thought she was really, really good. And the other one I thought was fine. Like I don't think she was bad. I think the character is also a blank, and they probably cast her for her ability to kind of just be like, oh, I just kind of seem like, ah, shucks, like the whole time.
Drew, I don't know if there is like a
I did
hidden,
not
like
stick
a
around
Easter
for
egg.
the whole after credits, but I will say there is a credit. So there is a credit sequence though of
Mm-hmm.
each of them. They're taking their picture at the prom, and they hold up a like a talk bubble thing, like like at a photo booth or whatever. And so they all have like their superlative, like it's like I remember Keegan Michael Key's was like drama king, and like Olivia Kerry Washington's, which is like also, and it just, this bothered me, was that Kerry Washington's is, and also she's the last credited. She's the, and Kerry Washington is like, to give her even more special. And she puts up hers, and it's best dressed, which again, she looks awesome in this outfit she's wearing at the end, but it's kind of like,
Yes, of course she does.
this girl boss homophobe slays. It's like, we still,
Yes, Queen. Queen, we have no choice but to stay in your sequence. Yes, yes.
so there
yes.
is, so the cringe does continue
Spanker
into
Prime,
the credits.
excellent point. But I'm a Cheerleader is a phenomenal
But
movie.
I'm a Cheerleader
And I
is
think
great.
like if you want to make like good content for queer children, like fucking let them make it.
Yes.
Like if there's something that queer kids know how to do, that's write down about their feelings or draw about it or write songs about it, and like just start like letting them tell their fucking stories. Can we stop this like patronizing horse shit
Why?
of like Hallmark versions of homophobia? Because homophobia and all these other isms that people face is so much more severe than the prom. So like, can we stop pretending that like Meryl Streep and James Corden coming and shitting all over your little town in Indiana is gonna be like what saves the day?
Okay,
That
Alex, I
horse shit
figured
needs
it
to
out.
stop.
This is the version of the show that we would write. Is that we would, it would be like the same thing of like, it's a small town Indiana. Okay, it's the exact same setting. There's no Broadway people. It's
No, because they've all been. Well, never mind.
they're just completely unnecessary. Small town
I
Indiana.
just say it's
And there's
second.
a gay girl that's like, I want to bring my girlfriend to the prom. And then actually what happens is the PTA falls all over themselves trying to make her so comfortable, and like, look, we have a, and like to celebrate it, that they become really uncomfortable and realize that prom's a stupid ritual and high school's dumb, and like it's more important that they have their love or whatever. That's a much better musical to me. That version of this show I would like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I mean, that was something I said very early on, is that they clearly wanted Nathan Lane like 20 years ago. He's too old to play the James Corden part now, but like circa 2000, he would have been all over that, and he would have been actually really good. Then if it could have been like, if this was like 2005-ish and actually this exact story, then it would make a lot more sense if it was like the 2000s. And it was Meryl Streep and Nathan Lane. Okay, this I would have liked this. I would have actually just fully liked it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah.
I guess Emmy's right. He's as old as Meryl. So maybe it would have. Well, no, because then it wouldn't have worked, because I mean, his mom would have had to have been like ancient old. That's the reason that he needed to be younger, I think, than Meryl.
They could have put more prosthesis on Tracy Ullman. But
Tracy Ullman's just like, just like a bag of bones.
I will say that probably what happened was, do you remember that video of James Corden talking about fat phobia?
No.
Like he did this thing, and I forgot what it was. I think it was like probably because Trump called a woman fat, or about Rosie O'Donnell or something, even though then in turn everyone decided to call Donald Trump fat. I personally don't have an opinion on whether or not you can call powerful people fat. I don't think that's what's ruining the world.
He is fat. He's also a gay homo with Putin, and they kiss.
Right, he has gay sex with Vladimir Putin, and that's why he's bad.
Because he's bad, yeah.
But he had this really like it was like it was moving as like a person who is big and a person who is like felt fat, and like when you like to be treated by society as like a fat person and to internalize that is a totally it totally has effects on your brain. And and he did this like really impassioned, really like beautiful like address on his show or something that was like really nice. And I never heard it articulated in such a way. The experience of being a fat person. Um, and and I think maybe Ryan Murphy saw that and was like, you know what, do that, but gay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's no. I do think that is kind of what he's trying to tap into. I also said that I think sometimes people assume he might be gay, like because he is in musicals, kind of, and that he is kind of like a more willing to be out there singing. I think sometimes people might make that assumption about him.
And again, to like all the people out there hand wringing.
Oh no, he froze right at the hand wringing.
Corden is playing a gay person. Fuck. To all the people hand wringing out there, that James Corden, the biggest defense about this movie is that James Corden is playing a gay person. I would ask you to grow up, because there is nothing. This is not the problem with the movie. Grow the fuck up.
I think nothing it's about that character. It's a problem with the movie. It's not the problem.
Anything else than James? Huh?
This is your take. I think it's a problem with the movie. I don't think it's the problem with the movie. I don't even think it's the problem with his performance. I think it's a problem with his performance and the movie.
But I think, you're missing I think you're missing my point. My point is that not that straight people should be able to play gay people, carte blanche. My point is that this character is so far away from the lived experience, a nuanced experience of a person, then you may as well have a British person that's straight put on a fucking silver tuxedo and sing and dance around it.
But at the same time,
that there is.
I don't know. I just think that there are any number of gay actors that could have done a really a good job at that, and it wouldn't have been any worse. I mean, in terms of what is there in the script, but what you possibly could have had, and this is why I will defend people's right to be like, it's bullshit that he's doing that. Is what you maybe could have had is that actual genuine lived experience brought to it, and so
represented in any of the storytelling. But you don't.
But they could have brought it to it, and but that's not on him. That's like the missed opportunity of not using. But it's still an offensively bad performance just because it's bad. I think it's bad material, and he does a bad job with it. He's definitely the worst one in the movie. There he is.
Yeah. Well,
I am not gonna talk about this motherfucker for a long time. All right, this is gonna be. Oh yeah, so we're nearing the end of the show here, so I can get to the business because this is our season finale. New Year's resolution for 2021.
I do not think so, Spanker Prime. I don't think so.
No, they couldn't have salvaged it, but they could have brought more to it. I don't know if they could have salvaged it. I think that the part itself is and all of the parts are kind of just like fucking stick figures. They're just kind of like being moved around to check boxes and kind of move the plot. They don't feel, it never really feels genuine for a second even. I mean, they try, like, but it's, again, in the way that it's presented in the material. So a New Year's resolution is to not talk about James Corden in 2021 on this show. I'm trying to not even bring him up. I'm going to see if I can do it. Hopefully he's not in another movie musical. If we talk about Into the Woods, and we talk about the movie even, I just won't talk about it. I mean, we're not going to have an episode on the movie, but if the movie comes up, I will not mention James Corden. Yeah, they should have just write a different musical. Now, because we've talked about the Prom, and I have described it as a harrowing watch. Last week we talked about Cats, not the best musical, although I was pleasantly surprised about how well the stage version recording holds up, and it's still a fun, much better watch than the movie on it, like as legitimately good. Still not the best work of theater. It's very silly spectacle, but in any event, we need a chaser. We need actually good musicals. And so here's what we're going to do. This is the season finale. I'm going to take about a month off. But on New Year's Day, I am going to do a marathon of 6 musicals that I'm going to watch on YouTube, and then we'll play them through here, and I hopefully won't get arrested. I think it'll be fine. I've seen people watch like way worse. With the level of Twitch I'm at right now, I think this is the perfect time to do this. Because once I get really famous next year, I won't be able to. That was a self-deprecating joke. So I've got 6 musicals lined up here. I'll just say what they are, and this is going to be the order. I think we'll start around like noon on New Year's Day, noonish Eastern time, or maybe 11. We'll start with A Little Night Music. Then we will watch Passing Strange. Then we will watch the original production of Pacific Overtures. All of these are professionally recorded as well for these. These aren't bootlegs. There is one bootleg. Then after Pacific Overtures, which I have Dr. Fuzz is going to be on that. All of these are going to be joined by past guests and other friends, and I might be reaching out to some people even in the chat now to come join. So Dr. Fuzz is going to join for Pacific Overtures. Then the main event is our 4th musical, which is Titanic. And Titanic, we will be joined by Kate Rath and Jack Allison and Alex KLINER. That's the lineup. That's the main event there. And then there's 2 musicals after that. But Alex, talk a little bit about Titanic.
I love Titanic. I hate musicals, most of them. Actually, I don't. I think that in as a whole they are bad. But Titanic is fucking great, and I cannot wait to be like actually cheering something on here instead of like my normal gig, which is explaining why like brain disease liberalism has is showing up in Netflix McDonald's commercials about queer teens.
I will say I'm describing this marathon as 5 great musicals and also Titanic. But I will say I know
because Bob,
I haven't watched Titanic beginning to end.
Your hatred.
I haven't watched it beginning to end, so I'm looking forward to it. And Kate loves Titanic the movie. She loves Titanic, like just the event, the Titanic. And Jack will also be just very funny to be making fun of all the weird patter and shout singing that they do. After Titanic will be my two of my very favorite musicals. After Titanic, we're gonna go Carolina Change, the slime tutorial from the final week of the show of Tanya Pinkins, and the original cast. One of my favorite recordings I've watched many times. And then the final, we're going to finish it off with the classic original Sunday in the Park with George with Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters. We're going to watch all of those musicals, all of them. That's my plan right now. And I'm getting people, and it's going to be great. So that'll be New Year's Day. And then a couple weeks after that, we'll be back with regular episodes. But Alex is going to be there. I hope you'll all drop in throughout the day, hang out all day. You know, I've talked about some bad musicals, but I really think all of these are really great. And I'm looking forward to actually watching
including Titanic.
It's very rousing and stirring, and what it's trying to do, it succeeds at doing, I think. Again, I haven't
seen the whole thing. Which is to leverage the entirety of theater and music to tell the story of the greatest thing in the world crashing and then showing it to you on stage. How dare it? The audacity.
No.
Oh,
I'm not.
Gorgeous.
No. I'm saying that it has that sort of epic like scale to the music. Like it really does like rouse. It meets what it's trying to do. It's just is that I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
It is good actually.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely have to get Marissa in to see young Mandy at his hottest in Sunday in the Park with George. I mean, early '80s Mandy is prime Mandy. You got like when he was in Evita as Che. Ooh boy, he was very, very, very handsome in that as well. Ooh, Jack. I hope you. Oh, Jack, join. Yes. Oh, maybe we'll have Alex just do Titanic and Carolina Change as well. We'll have him stay, and then Jack can join as well for that. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk. I would love that.
Maybe.
I'm volunteering Alex. Alex is going to do the entire 13-hour stream. I've just decided. Alex, I love you, buddy. Thanks again for being here again. You were the only person that we could possibly unpack this. We want to cover the big musical news. I will say I was planning a Grinch episode for next week for the Grinch Live. And then I saw clips of the Grinch Live and I couldn't. I could not. I could not do an episode on that. It was too bad. So we will not be doing that. And I had Kate was going to come on for it and everything. I'd asked her, and it was no. It's too bad. You can. I mean, I'll watch it, but the music is honestly, it's just like nonsensical. It's grating. It doesn't sound good. It's like none. I mean, it's depressing too, because like all of the performers are giving their all, like they're really selling it, and you know that there's no work for any of these people. So like this is like the only job that they're gonna have for months, and like this is what they're selling, and it's truly too bad. And it's not, and I don't think it would be interesting enough for an entire, in the same way that we were able to really talk for over 2 hours about this bad musical, because there's so much happening in it. I don't know what there is to say about the Grinch that Jack didn't already say on Jack AM in just a couple of segments, like 30 minutes. I think that's about as much as you could say. So instead, I'm going to focus on making this marathon like really cool, and getting a lot of great people. And then we'll come back with regular episodes next year, and I'm hoping to get some cool guests and stuff for that. So thanks, everybody. This has been the best year, just getting to do these shows. Thank you to Alex and all my other friends and everybody for being supportive. Thank you to my lovely wife, Abby, Lady Goo, sitting here. She's just been great as I just completely take over our living room, our one room in our tiny box apartment. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you all, and I'll see you on New Year's Day. And goodbye.